You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
This makes my nipples hard.
Hey there, and welcome to the show. Today, totally off topic, we're going to talk about something we don't usually talk about, which is a point-and-click Sierra game. Shocker. But okay, not one with the pixels the way that you'd be typically used to us talking about. This one's got different kind of pixels that is like a movie gone pixelated because it's Halloween-ish. And this game is Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within.
Oh, shit.
We should do Under a Killing Moon. That would be great. I would love that.
I might be wildly underprepared.
I have a strategy guide.
I have screenshots, so we are good to go.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, we're just going to imagine up the plot on the fly.
It's okay. I mean, it's pixelated. It's hard to see, so you can just kind of guess.
Exactly.
The names are great, though, and I did a lot of learning German. I didn't really have a choice. It turns out if you don't let the game tell you everything, it doesn't acknowledge yourself as knowing it. You can't just look at it and be like, this is something somebody knows now. You have to listen.
Man, wow, what a lesson to learn. You know, that's incredible. Yeah, this game is beloved by many. I'm a huge fan of it. It's spooky, by the way, everybody. It's spooky. If you look at the cover, it's spooky. The time of year is incredibly spooky. As a matter of fact, today it's almost Spooky Eve. I guess it's 2 days away, whatever the math is. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's Sunday now, but this came out on Tuesday. It's almost Halloween. That's why we're doing this, because it's almost Halloween, and it's a spooky game. And we're gonna get good at this. This episode is gonna be, it's gonna be fine. There's a redemption arc. Actually, we decided to come in real low and just raise the bar as we go through the episode. So yeah, welcome to our Gabriel Knight 2, the Heroes podcast journey. Dear God, please help.
It's got compared to the first one, and what I remember, we did the episode on the first one, and I mentioned that what I didn't like about it at first was how complicated it was. You had to push, pull, there's cogs, there's gears, there's this whole setup at the top that I didn't understand. And this game took that idea right out the window and said, here's a button, and if the cursor changes, you can click on the thing, and if the thing does a thing, yay. If the thing doesn't do a thing, and then that's it. That's all you need to do to play through all of that. And I think to compensate, they added in ideas like Grace's notebook, or listening through your audio files for previous interview information. And it's interesting how it gets you to combine the different skills to piece together what is an extremely complicated story.
It is, yeah. And you're right about the interface. They took it and threw it out the window, and then you're like, actually, give me some of that back. Jeez Louise, it's got that context-based interface where the click does, which I forgive in FMV's sake. It's something that listeners know I kind of complain about with modern adventure games when it's like that, depending on the game, of course. But with FMV, it's called for, let's say. So I liked it a lot. Anne and I. Okay, let's give a plot summary to anybody who hasn't played the game. Which you're a mad person if you're listening to this and you haven't played the game. What is in this for you? I just don't. I guess the idea is Anna and I have played it for you. That's what's in it for you.
So
we're gonna competently walk you through it. Don't worry. Starting with a brief summary of what the back of the box might have said, which is, I'm reading the wrong thing. Man, I'm so bad at precision. It's remarkable. Okay, I got it. So this takes place after Gabriel Knight 1, in like a, what do you call it, a smooth continuity manner. I'm doing like a cube shape with my hands right now, just in case that helps anybody understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah. So the Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within, follows Gabriel Knight, a Schattenjäger, which I've actually been learning a little bit of German lately, and it means shadow hunter. That's more true than listeners would know. And he investigates a series of mysterious wolf killings in Bavaria. Oh my. He delves deeper. He uncovers connections. Oh, wait, I got to say this intensely. He delves deeper. He uncovers connections between the killings, a lost Wagner opera, the legend of King Ludwig II, Gabriel and his assistant Grace Nakamura work to uncover the truth behind the werewolf mythos while facing off against a dangerous and secretive hunting club.
Which is cool because you get to meet all these like some of the characters in the hunting club are just like, who the hell are you to be here? And other people are super engaged and, you know, absolutely in love with you. Uh, and it has some great character dynamics. This game is different. It had cute expressions. Gabriel is adorable. Dean Erickson does a great job at playing that character. Grace Nakamura is so intense, and at the first time, at first she's almost like angry, but then she gets cool. And I didn't even notice till my son came up and looked over my shoulder, and he's like, "How come her hair's longer on one side than the other?" But I'm like, it was very '90s thing to do.
Totally was, yeah. Yeah, definitely, especially when they cut it like high in the back of the neck and then let it go. It got longer towards the collarbones for girls, you know, like
Mhm.
Ghost in the Shell character, maybe. I've never even seen that. I have no business trying to connect those two. But anyway, Anna and I have. I don't want to speak for you, Anna. I'll give you the floor in a second. But I think we have slightly different opinions on this game. Because for me, I'm on team. This game's incredible. Anna's on team. It kept crashing for her, and maybe I should have warned her. It's not a great game to like get through for a podcast because it's very wordy. It's not the kind of game that you can like yeah, it's not the kind of game to play. How do I word this? It's you need to take your time with this game. So I
Yeah,
think
you
there.
can't skip through anything because you don't know what's relevant. It's the kind of game where you have to take notes, make a little notepad, write down your own thoughts, take the thoughts from the game, and really think about it and make your own deductions. And it's so layered.
Exactly, and one of the main critiques for this game, which I understand, is that it's a very dialogue dense game, very dialogue heavy, and which I'll probably draw the first of many parallels to my own game. There's a lot of similarities in the two, honestly, including
Mhm,
the density of the dialogue, how much dialogue there is, and for a narrative based genre, if the dialogue's good, then it's cool because it's like you wouldn't read a book and be like, man, this book is so wordy. Like it's 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 a narrative genre. Like it lends itself to having dialogue heavy moments, but the dialogue has to be good, like in any situation ever, for if you're going to stay interested in it. And I do think that the writing in this is absolutely exceptional. Um, and Fran, again, not to speak for you, I'll pass it over to you now. But it's like I feel like if I was playing this with this slight background ticking of a clock
mhm.
that I might like, you get that just kind of that little like, okay, like I need to be ready for Sunday. Like I can imagine just not getting the same experience as opposed to just like, a slow saunter through it. So wait, what was your experience like?
Well, I put 10 hours into it and I didn't complete it. So I got good way into chapter 5. I got through chapter 4, which I was impressed with. A few stops and starts along the way, but then I ended up just having to kind of watch a playthrough of the end of it and look at a bunch of screenshots and realize that I missed a lot of the coolest parts in that game.
Aw. You guys, Anna sounded so like ripped off when she first got on the line. She's like, I played 10 hours and I didn't even get to the cool stuff.
I had to like watch it scrubbing through YouTube and kind of trying to catch the gist of the story. So I was just like, oh, well, I'm glad you're super prepared, Paul. And Paul's like, am I ever? And then I'm like, good, because you'll kind of have to hold up the last bit of this episode. And he's like, okie dokie.
Yeah, some of that is how it happened. I was more, yeah. Sure, why not? I'll take it. Why not just leave it framed that way? It looks good on me. Um, Boys, no, just let it be. Let it be. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin the illusion, because I'm sure everybody listening is just like, yeah, Paul, the competent one. I don't know. I have no idea. Look, we were pretty determined to get an episode to y'all for Halloween. Otherwise, this would have been we would have played a get out of jail free card on this week. But alas, we're here. We're doing fine. We're doing exactly how I thought we'd be doing, which is fine. So okay. So Anna had an okay time with it, and she probably would have enjoyed it more given different circumstances. That's fine. It's fine. uh, I really liked it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story so that anything we say going forward has just the slimmest chance of making sense. Um, so the game opens up for anybody that's played Gabriel Knight 1 and remembers the ending. First of all, good job. There's so much to remember in this world. I'm proud of you. You end up moving to Germany where you stay at it's Ritter, right? See, Anna's the one that actually played it recently. I'm the one that's played it a lot obsessively, and so I
Yeah, Schloss Ritter in
yes.
Rittersburg, Germany, where apparently you're like, Grace, even though you can't be there. And he didn't want her around for this whole thing, I didn't know the dynamic was going to be in this. I thought it was neat that you got to play her, though. It was like Passionate Patty and Larry. You get to play each other when you're not around each other.
Yeah, and that's a really fun angle of this game too, because you're both in
Hmm.
different parts of the game world, right? So it's like
Hmm.
Grace is working a completely different angle from different perspective and different people. Like it's not at all a tag team situation, so it's a completely um it's really good pacing in that sense, where it's like you don't get too bogged down by like Gabriel's story, and then all of a sudden you're like back to Grace, and there's new characters and new backgrounds, and yeah. But anyway, so yeah, you're at Schlossritter. Schloss is German for castle. It's just in
Hmm.
general. So in case Schloss just gets thrown around a lot this episode, that's why there's a lot of castles.
Get
Um,
sloshed around.
nice, very good.
Thanks.
Um, that was your great contribution to this episode today.
Well, man, how can I top that? It's true. You got me pigeonholed.
So the town, an angry mob knocks on his door, and it's just like, "Hey, there's been a murder, and we know you're the Schottenjäger. This is the Schottenjäger's castle." And I said, nice, very good. I said she's maintaining consistency. I say that because Gabe seems a little like almost confused / annoyed, but it's just like you're the guy for this, like. He forgets his role for a second, and then he's just like, "All right, I'll check it out." And
Mhm,
in Jane Jensen fashion, she goes hard, man, because the murder victim is a child,
mhm.
is a little girl, like those 7-ish-year-old looking girl gets got in the woods
Yeah,
by a suspiciously large wolf.
yeah, like bigger than the ones at the zoo, because there's a zoo you can visit and there's a bunch of wolves there, but they're like smaller, whiter wolves.
Right, exactly. See, a nice little clue. Exactly. This was an oddly large, suspiciously black wolf.
Yeah.
And anyway, he eats a little girl. So Gabriel Knight has to go see what's up with that. And then, as Anna alluded to a second ago, um, Grace, and actually refresh my memory, Anna. Grace, she doesn't come with him, but she's called in to help because he.
Yeah, later with Gertie, because he first is there with Gertie. And then later on, she shows up and Gertie's like, I don't know, he was here, but he's left. Maybe he'll call. And then he kind of calls and he kind of writes.
Yeah, and Grace has a very abrasive intro into this game. She's
Rawr.
very yeah, she's just like a little intense. They should have sent her around the block on a bicycle before they cut that
Mhm.
scene. Just shed a little bit of that energy. It was a bit much, but then
It's
she
like the
comes good.
eyes. It was so funny. Yeah, no, it's good though. Like, wow.
Gertie is super '90s looking.
Hmm.
Just the
She's the
just
hair.
the man, yeah, the
So
hair, the
tight.
sundress vibe. It's just super '90s.
Mhm.
Gotta love it.
Like
Oh
designing women or something.
yeah, yes. Well, I didn't mean to say it so passionately. I've not actually seen the show. I just wanted to
Just if
back you
you
up.
had
Yeah,
Suzanne Baker, it's the Sugar
it
Bakers.
sounds like what that
Mhm.
show it looks like
The
or
three
whatever.
people that listen to this podcast that know the show is going, yeah, I know what you mean.
Say no more. Um, actually,
But yeah, she flies
that's
in
just
later.
everybody listening to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, no, probably.
Oh,
Say no
shit.
more.
Say no more. We're good. No, but this is fun. We're doing great. So we got ourselves like a paranormal investigation on our hands, more or less, roughly speaking.
Yeah, it becomes there's like this one point, I think it's when you throw the lily in the water that you realize there's actually something that is not of this earth happening, more so than just necklaces and dreams of wolves and paintings that are familiar. There's like an actual ghost through the water as a representation. And he's like, oh, because I'm assuming she's not imagining it. By this point, I'm like, no, there's really some shit going down.
You're right, and it does a great job of that throughout the game of just integrating lore, especially German lore, especially I guess you can't use especially twice. That's you know
Especially too many.
yeah, it's right. So it goes against the nature of what especially does,
It's
which
not
is
special
it
no more.
especializes things. Yes.
You're unespecially.
it weaves a lot of lore into the game, and it does so in a mysterious sense. Like as you said,
Mhm.
with the dream sequences, where it leaves you wondering exactly, what's real, what's not real. Are they being affected in the sense that they're having these dreams, or are they just having these dreams because dreams get had? Boy, that
Mhm.
was not a shining moment for me in this episode. Let me tell you.
Like,
um,
was there a point to it or not? And which is what I wondered in the museum in chapter 4 when you have to click on everything and listen to everything. And I'm like, what of this is related to helping to solve the mystery of Ludwig and, Wagner? And how much of this is related to me learning history? And you know what? The game was written so well. The line was entirely blurred. I didn't know what was fictional and what was real or what was important and what wasn't. So I had to listen to everything.
right, and for me, and I know the listeners can pick up on the bitterness in your voice right now. I'm
There's
sorry.
none. I
Yeah,
liked it. It
well,
was good learning. It was good learning. I've had like a household of people making fun of me for playing it all week. So, or all three
there's
days.
just a tinge to your everything, to
Is there?
everything.
Am I tingy tonight? Am I extra tingy?
No, just a little. I can hear you wanting to click through it as you describe it. You're just like, and there's just a lot of stuff that you had to, did it have a point? No, but that's fine. I don't need a point. I can just learn shit.
It's like Gold Rush, though.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a point. I don't think. I think a lot of it is just getting completely in like a world building sense, I guess you'd say, like story building, world building, because you're right. And again, that's what I mean. Like the two scenarios in which we played were framed entirely differently. Where mine was just like, I'm just gonna see what this game's about, and you're like, I need to play this in the next day or two for an episode.
Yeah, we didn't really give me a lot. I pounded in those 10 hours really quickly and all, but
Yeah, no, exactly. You did the hard work. You almost got the reward. It was we were rooting for you. It
I
was.
saw the midpoint movie in chapter 5, and then I need the ending movie, and I need chapter 6 opening, the opera, and the ending movie.
So I guess I'm saying is I was afforded the opportunity to take this slowly and to not have my eye on the end of
You
it.
took it to dinner first. You gave it a little bit of romance. You didn't just
Exactly.
like bring it home and like take care of yourself in it, and that was the end of that. It's like it was
Exactly.
much more romantic.
Unlike Anna here, who's like threw it a towel and called it an Uber. It's just
Yeah.
disgraceful.
Wham
Um,
bam, thank you, Gabriel and friends.
but if see, but I think it's interesting because I think for the people that aren't interested in my game is the same would lose you in the same way of this game, right? Like out of context to your situation, playing with a timer, but it's like it is really dialogue heavy. So it's like if you're playing to win, you lose a lot of the experience. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
If you're playing to win, you lose a lot of the charm and the experience. And because for me, when I played this game, and this I'll take a moment to, I don't know, indulge in this reflection for the validation and justification of anybody listening who really loves this game as I did. Um, it When I was done playing this game, like I immediately jumped onto Google and spent like 3 hours googling everything, trying to cross compare exactly where that line that you spoke of, Anna, was with the blur between history and fiction. Um, because the extent in which Jensen goes into Ludwig, or the Mad King, the fairy tale king, um, and blends him in with Richard Wagner, and you she does a great job of taking. Okay, here's an example. um, Ludwig dies in mysterious circumstances by the lake in the game in real life, and Jensen kind of intertwines that into her story itself, and she takes
Mhm.
the interesting relationship between Wagner and Ludwig and interjects a bunch of things into it, which is where the idea for this lost opera comes from. That is fictional, is only for the game, but
Mhm.
she does it in such a way that there's no reason to believe that there wasn't a lost opera. Like when I remember
Mhm.
playing it and thinking like there probably
There must
was,
be.
and
Mhm.
they maybe they didn't actually find it though, or like, well, I mean that's what a
Mhm.
lost opera is. Jeez, Louise Corman. Well,
It's just still lost. It was lost. It is lost.
right, thank you. It must still be lost, or yes, or yeah, like the close, right, exactly. That gets us there. That delivers us to the point. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm in the museum just clicking through and just reading all the things, and like at this point, like she does a good job of letting you know that some of it's definitely, well, some of it's definitely not real, like the werewolves. But another way that she kind of masterfully does this is that Ludwig himself, as she handles an exposition through the game, you don't have to know this going in, but you learn and get a historical sense that Ludwig is interested in storytelling and theater and fairy tales. He's like a bit of a dreamer. I mean, he's the one that built. I believe he's the one that I think broke himself financially building. What's the I forgot. I have five castles in front of me. Neuschwanstein? That's the one.
Yeah, Neuschwanstein Castle.
Neuschwanstein is the very
Yes.
Disney-inspired castle.
Hmm.
I believe that's a factual thing that I learned originally researching this when I first played the game. That the Disney castle was loosely based off of
Hmm.
Neuschwanstein, and I think Ludwig went broke building that castle.
Right.
But
He
that's
went mad, right?
That's
So.
right, exactly, and that's the extent
Mhm.
to which his madness, his other moniker, extended. That he was so lost in this, I don't know, Peter Pan like fairy tale, eternal child state. It sounded like that he that he would go broke building a beautiful castle like that. Anyway, that extends to back to this weaving it back into Jensen and her storytelling. It's like he was also really interested in German mythology, and I think, and I might be wrong, but I think this is where Jensen pulls the werewolves from, where it's like he didn't. Ludwig in real life, I don't believe, and I did a little research before the show on this. It doesn't seem like he had any interest in werewolves, let's say, or in like paranormal, or anything of that sort. What's it
Mhm.
called? Cryptozoology. But
Right.
but because he had such deep interest in fairy tales and storytelling, and in specifically German mythology, that's where Jensen kind of sneaks in and retroactively makes it so that he was deeply interested in werewolves. And it's
Mhm.
just so damn believable. It's really good writing, the ways that she blends this all together. So yeah, basically at that point, I think this is why I had such a great time playing, and it is kind of a beloved game for many. Is that um, you kind of absorbing all this information and just trying to like piece through like what is real and what isn't real, and I can imagine being even more charming before Google. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, anyway, that's the positive of my experience playing it.
Well, the opera scene there was actually filmed in Seattle, but like on a real stage with professional opera singers.
Oh, very cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know this.
it's close by. Seattle's not too far from. Well, it's a little far from where they were, but yeah, that's where they wanted to go. Good ambiance.
I wonder why. Well, okay. Is that where Dynamix was? Were they in Seattle?
Might have been.
I don't know.
I don't know. Dean Erickson's never even played the game, so.
Wow.
He might have now, but as of his most of his interviews are really pre 2005. There's one in 2009 because I was researching too by reading some of his interviews, and a friend of the podcast that is quite into Gabriel Knight was suggesting we would have him on for this episode, but I didn't feel ready for it.
Yes, that is for our friends over at the Adventure Gamers podcast. They should.
That's a good
Saoirse
call.
should,
Have
yeah,
Dean
Saoirse should get
Erickson
on that.
on.
Yeah,
They really like interviews, and they're really, really good at them.
yeah,
So.
exactly. They're good at scheduling. Let's say, at minimal compared to us, getting homework done Sunday night before school.
Is that what we're doing? I guess it is.
Kind of literally, yeah. I mean, not
So
literally
Von
at all, but
Blower's pretty cool, huh? He's cute too, and he's got this. He looks like he could be Gabriel's brother.
um, really?
Yeah, I always thought they had kind of a similarity in hair and some features. I mean, lovers otherwise, but I don't know. I always thought they kind of looked like siblings.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I could kind of see that. I can get behind it. Von Glauer
Mhm.
is he's like the fan favorite for this game. It seems like everybody
He's charming.
he kills it acting wise. I mean, everybody
Yeah,
does. I don't think there's
yeah.
really, again, I haven't just played it. I'm sure there's like the odd one or two, but I mean, even like
There's some like S's, like S's and B's, like microphone sounds or maybe people recorded lines later and it was a little bit quieter, or there was like some hard T's and it would, fuzz out the mic a bit. Like there was a few things that were noticeable here and there, but it wasn't like really bad.
yeah, Right. Well, and what about on the acting side itself though? Like, was there like a
I loved
standout?
them. I was obsessed with every character in it. A standout, the guy that ran that one museum that Grace had to keep going back to, that had his Ludwig's book or on
Hmm.
the counter
Like in
there.
the gift shop, kind of.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that person, and also the gift shop, the other gift shop at the first museum, and she's got this like turtleneck thing going when she answers like the few questions and gives Grace a ticket and stuff. She's good.
I really like the barkeep. He was good, and the ex satanic couple.
Yeah,
They were really good. And I believe that
the
the
beehive
yeah,
hairdo.
I think the Beehive lady was a did okay for herself acting wise. Like I think she was
Yeah,
in a few things. I just don't
Mrs.
recall.
Smith. Those were the Smiths.
Right, the Smiths were great. The old barkeep that spoke with Grace a lot was really good.
Hmm.
Everybody was really good. I can't think of like a.
The barkeep's from other stuff. I remember he's been in other games or he's been in other movies. He's a person for sure.
He's definitely a human on this earth. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, for sure.
Well, actually, he was.
He was. He could.
Yeah,
We don't know.
yeah. We don't know. It's not looking
Undecided.
good though. It's. I mean, this is
It's just looking at
this
the
was
time.
30 years ago, and he was yeah. But who knows? I
Yeah.
I, I hope so. If
I
he
like
wants me to hope him so, because now I'm hoping that he's just painfully old.
he's listening to this episode and being like, "You bastards, I'm fine."
I'm 72.
How old did you think I was? No, I do not.
Don't. It's
Rest
not
in
possible.
peace, for
Yeah, don't
sure.
feel
It's
bad.
okay.
He's for sure not with us. But anyway,
Yeah.
man, yeah. I mean, that was
Good
cold. I'm
call.
so sorry. God bless him and his unless he was a Satanist, in which case I don't know what to say
Satan
right now.
bless him. It's
Yeah.
just we just want everybody to be
Look, I
happy.
hope it worked out. Besides the dying part, I hope
Yeah, so
everything. The
eventually
dying. Okay.
everyone's fun and everybody's cool, but then all of a sudden certain people are werewolves
Yes.
and there's mazes.
The end.
There's
Well,
a
guys, this
forest.
has been.
Hang on now. Hang on. We have at least 21 minutes. No, at least 10 minutes to go. I started the timer late.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say, dude, has it been 9 minutes? We are fucked. Okay.
No, it's probably been like 20. Okay,
Good.
good call back to get him to the Greek though. That
Ah,
was
thanks for noticing that.
yeah,
Thank
no
you. I
worries.
think only you probably would, to be fair.
It's a good movie.
So good. Guys, let's talk about Get Him to the Greek and why you should be watching it.
21 cougars. 22 cougars. 20.
Yeah.
No, was it 20? 21. It's a good joke.
Kookaroos.
I had to look it up. It's like a fast food place.
Thank you for that. That's closure. Yeah. All right. All right. We're gonna we're
Chicken.
gonna we're gonna reel
Everybody
it.
loves chicken. That was the quote.
Look, we're gonna pull it. We're gonna pull it back together and end strong here eventually. So, I've got prepared for us a fun little list of springboards for this conversation.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. This
Ah,
was break glass in case of emergency kind of stuff. So,
that's good.
give me that hammer. Let's fucking let's break that glass.
Dude, so satisfying.
Okay, yeah. So we're definitely not doing that question because we don't do those questions well in this show. They're too abstract, frankly. We'll just be wandering through the desert for 33 minutes while I sweat for no reason, talking about the impact that full motion video had on storytelling. Ugh.
Mm.
Okay, here's a good question. Maybe I didn't read it yet. How effectively does the game balance real world? I already talked about this. This was the one thing I already talked about. It's all right. You know what? I feel like the audience is with us on this journey, and they're rooting us on. They're like, you're gonna get there. You're gonna find a good question. Um, okay. Ludwig II as a character. What do you think the way the game integrates the real life story of Ludwig II? Well, it does it well
It does it all. It does it very thoroughly.
and often. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, all right. Well, the next
Pretty.
question was Gabriel and Grace. Okay. Here we go. Gabriel and Grace's dynamics. Here's something. Grace is a bit different in this game to the first one. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, she's not Leah Remini.
Okay, well, all right. That was very pedantic.
No, her attitude is she's a little bit more like quick to. I think she had more of like a crush, and I thought of her as being a little tiny bit mellower and sassier and funnier in the
Yeah, more
first one.
sarcastic. Right, right.
Yeah, and in this second one, she's super intense and with a forward momentum, wanting to complete things, and sort of wildly goes from jealous to detective to. And I mean, it's cool because Gabriel's all like, that's cool. I'll get with this other random chick. Like, he's not all obsessed with her. He's obviously just like, whatever. If Von Glower's going to pass this
Yeah.
girl to me, I'm just going to red dress and I are just going to go do a thing. So he's not even like, there was no thought in his head where he's like, maybe I should be thinking about Grace. He's just like, that bitch, why the hell did she come out here in the first place? You know what? Fine. She can be in Germany over there.
Right. It was you helping me realize that they completely almost switched roles in that sense because he was the one kind of
Mhm.
like barking to
All
her
up in
door
her
or
face.
whatever. Is that a saying?
Yeah. No, it's barking at her door. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that kind of switch, right? And Grace was like, I don't know. In the first game, she was like kind of aloof. She was like a little nah, maybe she wasn't distant. She was cool. She's
She
kind of
was sassy and turning him down, and it was funny because he'd be sexy and she'd be quippy. And
mhm.
like, hang on, I have a quote from when he was having a conversation with Von Glauer, and he said, "If you're going to talk to Grace, pretend you don't have a penis when you're around her, and you'll be fine. Otherwise, she's liable to rip it off."
Wow. Was that from this game or the first one?
That's this one.
Hmm.
When he's having a conversation later on at the hunt club there. Just a
Yeah,
moment.
right. I guess it does fit the second game Grace better. Because I
Yeah,
know the first
murder
one
as
has like this
sticky sex.
confidence.
Sorry.
No, it's my bad. This game's Grace is out of control the whole game. Like she's going through a wild array of emotions. She's very just yeah. She's a bit unhinged in this game.
Mhm.
Like because she's like super like flies off the rail and then pulls it back in. I don't know. She's kind of all over the place as opposed to the kind of calm, cool, consistent, sarcastic Grace in the first game.
Yeah, and at the end, she's up and cuddling with him. What the hell? It's like, oh, what's so now he had his fun, and now she's all up into him.
Right. Yeah, and I guess I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess we don't. I was eh, without spoiling the ending. We could say that it's disappointing. I thought it was disappointing.
Hmm.
Like, I guess maybe again coming from the angle of being a huge fan of the game, it's you know what it is. It's a little disappointing. It's not a disappointment.
Hmm.
It's just a little disappointing. We're just like okay, it definitely peaks. The crescendo is more at the opera, and then there's like
Not the maze.
right, yeah, God, yeah, what a yeah, charisma killer, just momentum killer that maze was, but like I don't know. I get what they were going for, where like the crescendo, the action, the culmination all comes to a head at the opera, and then there's a quiet, necessary quiet after. I'm trying not to spoil on the nose. I don't even know why at this point, but there's like a quiet moment after the opera, and I feel like its whole purpose was to lend some closure, and it fails to do that. And then the only other thing I guess I could have mentioned is that maybe that has to do with the planned sequel because I've never played the third game.
Hmm.
I have no idea what happens from there. So I don't know. Maybe I'm an asshole for even saying this because maybe that was part of Jensen's plan and it plays out accordingly in the next game or would have at least played out in future games or books. But for the ending of this game, it was just like a little like, I mean, at this point, you might as well just do the thing you didn't do,
Hmm.
guys. So yeah. All right.
It's
Well,
hard to do an adventure game ending, though, isn't it? I mean, it's adventure gamers are really hard to satisfy on the ending front, and same with the people that take the money.
right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's a ball that is more than not dropped.
Hmm.
Um, so the atmosphere of the game. There we go. We could talk about that for a second. The atmosphere is amazing because it's real and it's beautiful, and you go to all kinds of just wondrous locations in Munchen and in which Seattle, as it turns out,
Yeah.
and
It's
I don't know.
super satisfying to unlock a new spot on the map that you weren't able to go to before, for sure.
And I got to I was able to go to Munich a long time ago, but it wasn't. I hadn't played this game yet, and I really regret that. Um, it's a weird thing to regret because there's kind of nothing to regret. I would have to like change my own canon to make it regrettable because I just didn't play the game. I just didn't know. But once I learned that it was in Munich and that I had been to the locations in the game in Munich, I was super bummed out. So on that note, check out our good friend Adventure Game Geeks videos. Go to his channel because he has real life location tour of Gabriel Knight 2, and it's so much fun.
Mhm.
It was how I found Geeks channel. I don't know, 4 maybe even 5 years ago. Um, and it was like a companion for me at the time because I was so into this game that after it was finished, I spent all those hours looking into like every detail to just pick apart. It's probably like the most fanboyish I've gotten over a game now that I'm thinking about it because I don't think I've ever actually done something like this before.
Dean
Like
Erickson is pretty cute.
oh no, he's got a killer jawline. I mean that's
And muscles and everything, just
like
for
as
sure.
a dude, you just look for those little signs where it's just like, yeah, that's probably why they like him so much. But no, check out Geeks is over there, man. just sweating a little bit over Dean, but no, check out Geeks videos on the walkthrough, the location sites because it's like a really fun little companion for when you're done playing. You know what it's like? It's like playing an AGI game, and when you're done, you go on YouTube and you search up how all the ways to die. It's
Hmm.
it's the equivalent to that. When you're finished playing the game, go check out Geeks Location Tour because, frankly, he's a stellar guide. He's super fun, and you get to see like, well, first of all, the film quality of the locations is just it's just tremendous.
Hmm.
This game was shot in I think 300 and something by 100 and something. So, yikes. Um,
Yeah.
we don't even send that on mobile. Like
Mm-mm.
wow, it was less than 480p, which is insane. So just seeing Geeks high quality footage alone is awesome. But
Hmm.
I just ate it up, man. I didn't want this. That's what it was. When I played this game, I didn't want the experience to end.
Hmm.
It was over, and I still wanted more. So I was looking up all his history and then looking at his facts, and I even wondered today, like if it had subtle influence on my own game in little ways, in just the getting lost in it all, and the I don't know, maybe even just a subtle permission to do a dialogue heavy game. Like if it's done right, it can work and things like that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that are really passionate about this game. I was talking to our friend Geek OV, and he said a few things. For one, there's people that have been out there working with AI with or without, but working on upscaling the game to kind of clean it up a little bit, which is always something people move forward with. And he's also said that, like, there was a subtitle pack that was available so that you could have English instead of just like German subtitles. And then, which would be nice. I would have preferred having subtitles to go with the game too. But the links are all dead. I went hunting around and tried to find a good link to share it with people, and every place it took me to was gone.
Oh, that is a bummer.
Hmm.
So I guess
So maybe,
I mean, it sounds like the project's abandoned in that sense.
yeah, I think it might be
Ah.
that one at least anyway. Um, but yeah, outside of that, there was a few similarities going back into the game. The car noise when traveling places made me think of your game,
Right.
especially when you're, just like taking it from place to another. The line Ludwig, as Grandmaster of the Knight of St. George, gave up all his pageantry to become a recluse. What is a man without pageantry?
Very good. Love that.
And acoustics and sound waves and crystals left over from Wagner after he died, and all the diagrams, and had me thinking about that because I've just been
Right.
talking with you about sound waves and acoustics and patterns and all that stuff. And of course, here and there we've had to research it for various things that you've been working on. So I was like, that's kind of neat.
Right. I'm glad you brought that one up too. Like the theater was specifically designed
Hmm.
invoke the ritualistic spell, I guess you could say, of the Black
Hmm.
Wolf. But it's weird how many little tiny remnants of things there are in common with it. Where I can't help but wonder if I was subconsciously influenced in I don't know. indiscriminate ways, I guess you could say. Just these. It's probably mostly coincidence, but still, it is kind of fascinating that there's a lot
Mhm.
of little parallels like that, even down to good old Englehart. um, well, I lost my springboard questions, but they weren't going well anyway. So, how did I lose them sitting in this chair without moving? Don't know. But what I do know is that yeah, actually, I don't know how to get out of that little thing I was stuck in there.
Well, I mean, we didn't really spoil anything. The point is, obviously, it's a game to be enjoyed. The people on my friends list that have completed this game have put in at least 15 to 20 hours. I think I'm about 5 hours short because I am enjoying it. I am listening to everything. I am reading all of the information it has to give me, and it's really cool. It's really rewarding. I've gotten some really good dopamine hits from playing the game, and I think it's worth me finishing, even though we've done this episode. I think I'd be in big trouble otherwise if I didn't.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we're gonna get out of your hair in a minute here because you know why. We're if we keep it here, it'll have been short and sweet. Look, I was just in the mood to talk about a romance in Germany for some reason, and Anna decided to play ball and play it with me. And thank you, Anna, for putting 9 hours of your life into not getting to the fun part of this game.
No problem. And I also want to say thank you to our listeners who have been writing us emails. We have an email from Larry who lives pretty close to where you live, Paul. He lives in a place
Larry
called
and
Golden,
Golden. Fucking
which
Larry. I love you, my dude. We got to meet up sometime. That would be so much fun. I loved your letter. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Larry's was the one where I think he also came from the same area that I did. Like, was raised near where
Mhm.
I was as well, like South Jersey,
Mhm.
Philly area.
Yeah, exactly. That is correct.
Oh,
And yeah, he's a cyber detective stuff and into
right.
CRPG editing.
Yeah. Thank you for writing there. That was a lot of fun to read. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. And so technically we would have probably talked more today, but I think no, everybody's had enough of us. Let's say thank you to the Patreon people. Thank you so much. It's not necessarily episodes like this that you put in for, but there are, I assure you, episodes that are worth what you give as a true believer. Thank you to Gareth and Mick, who's you guys are both just amazing, awesome people. Brian Manown, who is also Death Defying, Jay Holmes, Jeffrey Couch, Mark Philly, and Tim Ellis, Alan May, and everybody else that makes this episode and better episodes happen.
Hmm. Yeah, they're gonna get better. We're working on it. We are. I think somewhere around 250, we're gonna hit our stride. That's when.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
I sound better, I think,
Yes,
a
that's a
little
huge
with
start.
the
We
microphone.
were
So
waiting for that. Now
mhm.
let's start trying.
That'll be a brand new thing that we can try to do now. So yeah, also you can find us on Twitter at CGG Podcast
That's true.
and okay and sorry. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
You don't
and
have to take this out. That was just somebody bringing me something.
a,
That was very nice of them.
a
But
cup of
anyways, you can find us on
we
Twitter
all
at
have to
CGG.
know, is it a cup of tea? It sounded like a delightful cup of tea. Perhaps with 2 sugar cubes placed gently on the plate beside it.
Let's say that it is that.
Okay, wonderful.
Exactly that. You're
Yeah.
so psychic almost. It's pretty impressive. Find us on Twitter at the CGG Podcast and at the Phantom Fellows. Also, check out the Phantom Fellows at thephantomfellows.com on GOG, on Steam, on Itch, on Fireflower. Leave a review because even if it's just a thumbs up and I liked this game, it makes a difference in visibility because they always take numbers of reviews to kind of put everything where it needs to be. So we really, really super duper appreciate that. Email us, mail it at cggpodcast.com or we're on Facebook, we're a page, we're a group, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. Paul.
Check the podcast description out too. We have a lot of fun links in there. We always do. I don't. We only mention it like every 15 episodes. So just in case you, I was talking to one short the other day, and he's like, people probably never look at the description because it's like He had a good point. He's like, we're not the kind of show that like you need the description to decide if you're going to listen to this episode or not. It's like you're pretty much in or you're out. Especially based on the title.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, if you never look at the descriptions, we always link our Adventure Game Hotspot Network crew in there with their latest works. Sometimes I'll interchange that with like relevant works, such as Adventure Game Geek. His link this week will for sure be the tour of Gabriel Knight 2 when he went to Munich and or Germany in general and to the whole Bavarian area and walks you around there and stuff. So you can just go down there and get right to the videos that I was talking about with him. Because the Phantom Foes is still pretty freshly out, I'm keeping a bunch of the links in there where you can check out playthrough I did with Daniel Albu, podcast I did with our network friend Save Your Game with Pushing Up Roses and Matt Allcams. That podcast was a lot of fun that I did with them. And thank you guys for having me on. There's also the Adventure Games podcast interview is on there. Space Quest historian playing the game, although he has a new video. I'll probably put his new video in there for him. But anyway, the point being is that there's a bunch of stuff in there to see, and you can go there and then use your eyes to look at it. So, yeah, and that's it. So, don't do a murder.
Don't die on the episode, please. Come on now.
I know, that'd be so selfish.
You'd be okay. It would be so rude.
It would make everybody feel very uncomfortable.
I know. And I'd have to release the episode. It would be so awkward.